The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewer, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. I'm your host Eunice Mugo. Today on the show we are going to talk about what's the catch with Valentines. As you are heading to Valentine's tomorrow, what is in for you? What are you preparing for? What are you expecting? What is in store? Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. I'm not alone. I have guests with me who are going to help us to understand better on how to navigate around Valentine's Day. I will allow them to introduce themselves, starting with you, our lady.
Okay, naitwa Ida Akinyi, mwanabiashara na pia nafanya counseling.
Welcome on the show, Madam Aida.
Thank you.
To you, sir.
Hello viewer, my name is Benjamin Mudoka, Mind Education Specialist.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Benjamin, and to
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
My name is Douglas. I'm a marriage consultant, an author, and also a counselor.
Welcome on the show. Today, as we talk about what's the catch in Valentine's. On yesterday episode, we talked about what it is, that love is a verb and not a doing word. What you give necessarily doesn't define the love itself. So love and Valentine's, they go hand in hand because of the history where Valentine's originated from the priest who was fighting and advocating for love. So my question may be to start and pick it up from there, starting with you, Mr. Douglas, as you are telling us about the Roman priest. Now, the question, as he was fighting for love and helping people to marry, and also him writing a letter of having fallen in love with this certain lady. My question is, at that time, were priests allowed to marry and to love? Because right now, or what I gather from history, that Catholic priests, to be precise, are not allowed to marry. I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong, but that is it. Is it because of how you're saying, if you get married or if you're married, you won't go out for war? Was that why it made the priest, or rather the priesthood, in terms of the Roman priesthood, which cultivated down to what we have today, them not being married? Or what was it about that brought about all this?
All right. Thank you for that great question. I think it's a place for us to think about. I'm not so much in details with the Catholic, maybe origin of priests not marrying or not marrying, or the sisters and all that. But since it happened in the Roman Empire, I want to believe that maybe 15,000 years ago, though that probably, maybe that disclaimer, or that clause whereby anyone in the Roman Empire, because this was just, I can say a rule or probably declaration that they should go to war. But now they had to find themselves hiding into marriages. Now, during that time, that maybe information for them to get married was not because of maybe positional as a priest, but it was for them to go and fight. So, bring it back to not the normal priesthood. I want to believe that priesthood is not all about being in this Roman Catholic Empire, Roman Catholic religion, but it's all about even the normal Christian, because all of us are priests. As long as you go to church and you believe in a certain religion and culture, you become a priest. So I don't want to tie the current Roman, Catholic, maybe a provision for priesthood to what happened then. I don't think I'll not be able to do that, because I think it's a very long, maybe discussion that they have a reason why they reserve for the priests. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Now, maybe moving on away from the history and the culture, what was passed down and what we have today? Is it maybe coming to you, the heart that was intended for Valentine's, Mr. Benjamin, as you're teaching, as you're talking about the world of the heart, in terms of now Valentine's, what you're talking today, as what Douglas has said, it was this Roman priest fighting for love. That is why we have Valentine's Day, named after his name. Now, if you're to go with the world of the heart that you continuously speak about and the blueprints and everything, what was the heart intended when this priest who was fighting for love, and what is being practiced today? Is it the same thing that was passed down, or where did the break, or rather the gap, come into, so that we have a different thing altogether from what was intended?
Before I speak about that, I will read. I will need to read one verse in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20. Then it talks about something, and it says in verse 7, "And what man is there that hath betrothed a wife and hath not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man take her." You know, when we talk about love, we should think about the connection that is there between the heart of man and the love itself. Love is a function of the heart of man. It's a function that comes from the heart of man. And the love that was given to man, you know, man is always different from God. That's why the perspective of what people see and what God sees, it's completely different. What people think and what God think, how people see things and how God sees things, it's completely different. Even the way men love and the way God loves, it's totally different. Why is it totally different? You know, today I'll pretend that I love you. And then after you do something which is not good, then all of a sudden that love is lost. And now you start fighting and you're doing all these kind of things. But for God, why is he saying now in this, the verse that I read? You know, this was the time when the children of Israel were going for war. That before they go to war, God sent his word to these people. He said, "I'll go with you and I'll fight for you. I'll go with you and I'll fight for you." So we'll be fighting. It is not them fighting, it is God who will be fighting for them. So nobody can come out and say, this glory is coming to us. Because it is God who said, "I'll go with you and I'll fight for you." But before they went to war, he said another thing. Kama kuna mtu yoyote ambaye amelima shamba la misabibu na hajavuna, let him go back. Aende avune kwanza, asije akaenda kule akakufia vitani. And then the grapes are taken by another person. Anarudi anasema kama kuna mwanaume yote amemchumbia mwanamke. Now we are talking about kuchumbiana in terms of love and the Valentine. Let him go back kwa bibi yake, asije akaenda vitani akauawa, yule mwanamke akachukuliwa na mwingine. Now I want to talk about the heart of God. God does not work with a person who has a double mind. Many people today, they are living in terms of saying that I love a person, but when you check clearly, their hearts are divided. They are not very sure. Mguu moja iko kwa Eunice, the other mguu iko kwa another person. Isn't it? Mguu moja iko kwa Douglas, ingine iko kwa Benjamin, and then you are moving. This kind of a person who is double-minded, kwa Mungu hamfurahishi kamwe. Now when we talk about love, we should talk about love that is determined. And God works with people who are determined. God was determined when he spoke about showing his love to people. And when it comes to showing his love to people, he was determined in this way. He never wanted to put any condition to this love. It is love that he loved everyone, regardless of whether they were murderers, whether they were who. He loved them with one love. Which love? The love that he gave his only begotten son. Actually, for me, I have 3 kids. I cannot give one, no matter how much I may say that I love. That's why the love of God and my love is completely different. Him, he gave his only begotten son. Why? To buy Eunice with a special price.
Hold on to that thought as we come back to you again. Coming to you, Madam Aida. Culture and history, kama tulivyoongea na Douglas and Benjamin concerning the culture, concerning the history. Culture sasa, kwa sababu the origin of where Valentines came from, it's from the Roman Empire. That's their culture in Rome. And from what Douglas mentioned, it's because they were not allowed to marry because of the fights that was there. But this one was trickled down to now we're in Kenya. Hatuyuko Rome, we all agree to that.
tuko Kenya.
And we have our own culture and our own history and what we derived from there and what we have today. From where you're seated now, utasema ni nini imechange ndio tu kutoka mahali ilianza na mahali tuko sahi. Change imekujia wapi? Because again, Valentine was there hata wakati wa wazazi wetu. But it's not the same Valentines we are talking about today. It's the same name, it's the same day, it's the same month. But whatever we are talking about today, it's very different. It has morphed to something different. So kwa mtazamo wako utasema ni nini imebadilika?
Vitu mingi sana imebadilika kwa upande wangu. Vile ndugu yangu alikuwa anasema hapa, saa hizi kusema ukweli, kupata ile mapenzi ya ukweli ni ngumu sana. That's why unapata hata mandugu wanauana. Ni juu ile love, ile ya kutoka, ile ya ndani imetoka, ile utu ilitoka. Saa hizi ukiangalia mwenzako unamwangalia kana kwamba mnafanya biashara. Kwa mapenzi saa hii, mapenzi ni kama biashara. Usiponipa hauna maana kwa maisha yangu. Unaona? Saa hizi hakuna ile mapenzi ya ukweli. Hata ukiangalia kwa wazazi. Kitambo ungepata mzazi anakupenda, ile design anaweza kukuambia hii ni makosa. Anakupenda ile design haezi taka kitu ikufanyikie. Unaona? Lakini saa hizi ni ile upendo ya kuharibu. Unaona ukipatia mtoto smartphone, hiyo unampenda. Lakini hauangalii unaharibu huyo mtoto. Ile utu yenye tulikuwa nayo kitambo. Ile upendo ya Biblia. Saa hizi watu hawana. Na ni juu ya I think kulingana na vile society iko saa hii. Utu ilitoka watu, upendo ilitoka watu. Alafu saa hizi watu wameweka upendo kama biashara. Kama unanipenda, lazima nione chenye natoka kwako ndio nidhibitishe kwa unanipenda. Saa hii iko hivyo. Lakini kupata tu ule dem ama ule tu mama ama ule tu kijana mwenye anapenda tu kijana tu wa mtu tu na roho moja, saa hizi hakuna. Ile unaweza ambia tu mtu unanipenda, hauna, ni sawa, kuja tukae tuishi tutapata. Saa hii ni rare. Hata kwa kanisa, hata tu kwa church saa hizi. Kijana akikuja tu kwanza huyu si ni kijana tu mwenye yeye ulala church. Sasa atanipea nini? Hata angalia ile undani, huyu ni kijana na ako na ile upendo, ile pure love ndani yake. Saa hizi hata msichana hata chukua time kuangalia huyu jamaa ako na pure love ama ni nini. Chenye itafanya adhibitishe kuwa anampenda, ama chenye itafanya nidhibitishe kuwa mume wangu ananipenda, chenye itafanya nidhibitishe kuwa huyu boyfriend na girlfriend ananipenda ni nini ananipatia. Kwa roho mtu, labda kuna ule mtu mwenye anakujulia tu hali. Unajua hiyo pia ni upendo. Anakujulia tu hali, hana kitu ya kukupatia. Lakini anataka kujua unaendelea aje, uko sawa, umeenda hospitali, hali yako iko aje. Lakini saa hizi anataka utume pesa ndio ajue kwa
As you hold on to your thought, maybe coming to you, Mr. Douglas, what Ida is saying about love being transactional. Actually, in the current generation that we are in today, we can agree, all of us can agree that love is becoming transactional, whereby it's a give and take. And would you tell us, as a counselor and a marriage counselor at that, when you are talking about relationship being transactional, who is bound to suffer in this case, whereby if you're giving and you're not receiving, then what is going to happen, or what is bound to happen? Because if you give and you do not receive what you're transacting for, then something is missing. And do we state it from the word go that what we have is transactional, or how do you narrow down to know this person doesn't love me the way I ought to be loved, but rather this love is transactional?
All right. I think I love what you said. I was almost saying the same thing, that we have really maybe changed the definition of love to be a business deal and not a relationship. There are three things that God gave Adam in the Garden of Eden when he said, go, reproduce, fill the earth, subdue it, have dominion, all that. The three aspects of love that must exist in a person's heart, and that's what God expects from us. That is procreation, relation, and recreation. Most of what is happening now, we have defined love to be only one package in those three, and that is about procreation. We have really gone outside looking at love as relationship first, because love exists where there's relationship. If I don't have any relationship with him and I don't know him very well, there's no way I'll ask him for something then he gives me, because he'll be like, but then who is that Douglas? You want to use my car? So you have to know me first. So I have to create a relationship first of all. But where we have gone wrong to make it a transaction is whereby now we are operating whereby it's out of procreation that comes out of what do I get from you. So I'll come in this relationship expecting that what am I going to get from James? Not what am I going to contribute to us being who we're supposed to be. We have a very blurry definition of love that comes from what we are looking at and what we've been exposed to. One thing that will work for any young person or any person who is trusting God for a relationship is it begins with you. If you get it right from the beginning, then it will be easy for you to get it right in that relationship. If I have a wrong definition of what love is from the beginning, even if I get the right person, I'll be having different expectations from him. So it starts with me. We've been told yesterday in church that the challenge we have right now is we have it wrong from the beginning. So I get in this relationship with a wrong mindset of an assumption of who this person is, an assumption of who I am, an assumption of what marriage is. So I don't have a definite view of everything, the three things. So I'm getting this relationship knowing that I'm getting into a relationship with Eunice, and Eunice is my project. So I'm coming in to change you or to buy you. So project says that I'm going to transform you to be who I want you to be, or I'm getting it because this uni project yangu. So I'm investing in you because out of that project I expect to have a building, to have rent in, and get finances back. So we're looking at love out of projects, but not relationship. That said, if you change the way you're looking at love, even 14th can be a big challenge to us because it is more than things. It's all about people. So I need to love people first before I go for the things, not a project.
Interesting. You should love people first and not the project. Maybe coming back to you before I get to Mr. Benjamin, you've said that mapenzi ya siku hizi hata ya wazazi, it's very different from what was there before. And when you talk about relationships and love, we all agree, kitambo, ama hizo miaka za kitambo, the man was the provider and a protector, and the one who was professing. The 3 P's were coming from the men. But right now, the 3 P's are missing. They're not protecting, but rather they are the ones who are subjecting the fights, the violence, and everything. They're providing, but others are not providing. They are not all are professing. Some are, some are not. So when you're talking about wazazi kuharibu, is it because also hiyo change ama rift ilikuja wapi? That is what I would want us to understand, to help our viewer to understand, in the sense of mzazi sasa akiingililia hapa kwa hii relationship rather that you are talking about, enye inakuja sasa hapa ni kwa Valentines. So this man, in terms of gifting the ones that you are not advocating for so much, mzazi wangu hajazoea kupata hizi gifts. So amekuja amefanywa bonge la shopping. And then kesho nimwambia huyu mtu alinipiga after tulitoka hapa. Sasa tutafanya vipi? How are we going to salvage that and go back to the right thing, where to the right track of I have to understand my daughter, I have to understand my son, so that they do not go through much trauma and torture to the last minute, whereby when something very tragic has happened, ndio unasema na alikuwa anasema, and it's too late to change anything. But before you answer that, let us take a quick commercial break. I hope you're learning as much as I am. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.